going on, YouTube? We back at it again with another video, but today we got a different kind of video. So I just watched The Smashing Machine, and I just kind of want to give my thoughts on the entirety of the film. It was a very good biopic. I was really moved by it. You know, Dwayne Johnson's performance is probably his best performance I've ever seen in any film that I've seen in him. Well, any of his films, my bad. It was just such a great movie because most people don't know who Mark Kerr is. I didn't know who Mark Kerr was before the fucking film. I will be honest, I didn't really know. I wasn't really familiar with his name because I'm a youngin', bro. I didn't watch UFC back in the day. I wasn't really that familiar. Only a couple of years ago I started watching UFC and all that, so I didn't know who Mark Kerr was. So I was curious to see, okay, who, the Smashing Machine, Mark Kerr, MMA pioneer. Let's see what this is all about. His life was a very rocky one, but there was also, I feel like the movie was really trying to send a message too, right? And we'll get into that in a sec, but man, there was a certain duration of Mark Kerr's life. I believe it was 1998 to 2000 or 1997 to 2000, where he was dealing with a very big drug addiction, right? From pain medication. And they didn't exactly say where it came from, but I'm assuming it had to do with, just fighting a lot. And obviously you need pain medication to relieve the pain from fighting and all these injuries. So eventually he became addicted to that, and it really messed with the things that was basically going on, like his relationship with his wife. It was very toxic. She wasn't having it. She was very upset, and it got to a point where he had to go to rehab, and he ended up missing a fight as a result. That whole rehab thing kind of changed the whole trajectory of the rest of his life and his fighting career, in terms of like what they show, like the way he was like thinking or the choices he made. It was much better, and the struggle of just kind of like losing and just like struggling with that addiction, because he was kind of like, he didn't really know how to react when he was losing fights. And so all that mixed together, as well as like Mark Coleman and all that good stuff, it was really moving. Like, it really moved me, because you don't really know what goes on behind the scenes with MMA fighters and all that. They probably go through shit behind the scenes, but obviously, like, when it comes to drugs, that's not really much of a thing nowadays because of the rules and regulations. And obviously you gotta pass drug tests. I mean, when it comes to like pain medication though, I don't know exactly how that works with how you call it, drug testing, because I think they're really just looking for PEDs or steroids or anything like that. But yeah, and I think Mark Kerr is an absolute legend. Win or lose, it's really about what you overcome behind the scenes, behind what people don't see. And I really do have like a lot of respect for this man, not only for pioneering the sport, but also what he went through and overcoming all that. That's the real victory. That's the real victory. A lot of people were saying that, at least I was going through Twitter, a lot of people were saying that the movie was boring, yada yada yada. But it's a biopic at the end of the day, bro. You're not gonna always see things going on to stimulate your brain, like your TikTok brain. A lot of people have like low attention span. And that's why people think this movie's boring. Same way a lot of people thought Oppenheimer was boring, but guess what? That movie was phenomenal. Right? And we see in Rotten Tomatoes that the movie got around like 70-ish% or whatever, and it did bomb at the box office, which is really unfortunate. And I think part of the reason of that is because a lot of people are familiar with who Mark Kerr is, and I think mixed martial arts is still somewhat of a niche, and the whole, pretty much that's really why. And I think Dwayne Johnson didn't take this role for like how big it could be. He took the role because of the impact, what the story meant to him. and how much of a different role it is. And he really did a great job with it. And I also got to give my flowers to him, because he did his thing. I do want to go a little bit more in depth in his Mark Kerr's relationship with his wife in the movie. It's probably the most disturbing things I've seen in when it comes to biopics. It was very, very extreme, and I was like, damn, the chick was a problem for real. And it got into a point where I was like, damn, how did they manage to even like still be together? You know what I mean? I mean, if you go through his Wikipedia page, they did divorce or whatever. But yeah, that chick was a serious problem, especially towards his sobriety. You'll see in the film when you watch it. But as for rating, what I would rate the film as a whole, it's an 8 out of 10. It's a great watch. There are some parts of the film that are very slow, and that's expected in a biopic. But I thought everyone's performance was well, the script was well, the pacing. I feel like that pacing was one of its weaknesses. I felt like they could have done a little bit more with it, more with the build up. They could have had a little bit more build up. But at the end of the day, it's a story about another man, and they try to be as accurate as possible. They weren't necessarily going for exaggeration, because a lot of films, a lot of biopics do try to go for like exaggeration to make the film more interesting. But that's not what this movie was trying to do. It was really just down to earth. I hope the movie kind of raised also some awareness with like drug addiction and toxic relationships and all that. But yeah, guys, definitely go watch the Smashing Machine. It's a very, like, again, one of the best movies I've ever seen on Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and he should be very proud of his performance. Just amazing. That's all I'm gonna say.